Hey friends, it's RSKT, and welcome back to another installment in the Deluge Video Manual, where I'll be showing you all I know about using the Synthstrom Deluge. In the last couple of videos, we've looked at the subtractive synth engine, the FM synth engine, and ring modulation. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the final synth engine available to us, which is Wavetable Synthesis. Wavetable Synthesis was introduced in the latest firmware update of the Deluge, which is Deluge 4.0, the current firmware that we're running here. And it's a really fun addition that offers up a lot of creative sound exploration. Now, because of that, there are no wavetables built into the Deluge, so there's no presets or anything. And that means that you're going to have to go out on your own and find some wavetables on the internet. Now, fortunately, wavetables are plentiful. You can make your own if you want, and there are different ways to do that, but we're not getting into that in this video. I would probably point you in the direction of the Synthstrom Audible forums, because there's a lot of wavetables shared around on there, as well as the Discord server for the Deluge. But yeah, there's just tons and tons of websites out there where you can download a massive pack of wavetables and get started straight away. All you need to do is copy those wavetables, which are usually WAV files, onto your SD card, put them in a folder, and then you're able to get started. Hey, sorry to interrupt here, but while I was editing together this video, one of my Patreons on my Discord channel suggested to me that I take the time to maybe discuss the different types of waveforms and samples that we can use for this. Just to sort of give a little bit more of a clearer definition. So we all know that a standard waveform can be anything from a sine wave to a square wave and triangle wave, that, you know, the same things that are built into the Deluge engine here. But it's important to remember that we can also use things called single cycle waveforms, as well as the wavetables we're going to be using, and samples, of course. So let's just quickly go through all of those. We've already discussed sampling in the sample video, but you know, samples can be anything from drum loops to one-shots. They can be little synth one-shots, and they can be like entire stems, really. And if you want to know more about how to load samples into the Deluge, definitely go back and have a look at the sampling video. One thing I didn't mention in the sampling video, though, is single cycle waveforms. So single cycle waveforms are a lot like the traditional waveforms that live here in the Deluge, but a lot of them have their own uncategorized custom shape made. So pretty soon in this video, you're about to see me load some wavetables into the Deluge using two methods. Now, the first method is rather slow, but the second method is a lot faster and also provides us some more options. So I'm just going to quickly press Shift and Synth, and let's pretend for a second we're going to load in a single cycle waveform. We would go Shift, and over sample 1, we'll press Browse. Bottom to top, I've got a folder here just of wavetables, but we'll load this in a bit differently. So here's a sound. Now, usually a single cycle waveform will be like a split second of this. This is a wavetable. It's a lot longer. However, if we were to load in a single cycle waveform, we'll press and hold on this select knob, and we get a few options. So the first option is multi-sampling, and that's if you have a folder full of multi-samples. We already explored that in the sampling video. If we scroll over though, we can load this in as a basic waveform or a single cycle waveform. And there we go. It's loaded in as one. So that's single cycle waveforms. Now, wavetables are slightly different. Sometimes they might be longer, sometimes they might be shorter. But the important thing to remember is with wavetables, we have full control over the position of the sample. Now, you're going to see that explored deeply in the rest of this video, but just as a quick example, if I were to press Shift and Browse again, and we'll load in the same thing, but this time we'll select it as wavetable. Sounds the same, however, now this control controls the position. And then we can also modulate that position with an LFO. So yeah, don't get too hung up on that, because again, we'll be exploring what I did just there in a second. But those are the key differences to be thinking of when you're thinking of single cycle waveforms and wavetables and samples. They all behave slightly differently, and each has their use cases, but there's no real right or wrong way to go about it. Each one just offers up a unique way to play with sound and make some cool music. So yeah, that's enough interrupting for me. I hope that all made sense. Let's get back to the video. So wavetable synthesis is a lot of fun, and if anybody here has used something like Serum before or Ableton's Wavetable Synth, you know what you're getting into. So if we go Shift and Synth mode, you'll see that we can select the subtractive synth, the FM synth, ring mod, but if we scroll again, it just jumps straight back to subtractive. And that's because wavetable synthesis is kind of just like subtractive synthesis, but you're playing around with the sample a little bit. So we're going to leave it on subtractive for now. We might press Shift and Synth to make a new one. And there's a couple of different ways to load wavetables in. So the first way is to press Shift and type over oscillator 1. And we're going to keep scrolling until we see wave come up on the screen. If we press that, we don't hear anything. And that's because we haven't actually loaded a wavetable in yet. We've just told oscillator 1 that we want it to have a wavetable in there. So we need to go Shift and browse over sample 1. We'll say bottom to top. And I've got a folder on here called waves. Now, I've got a bunch of different wavetables in here. Let's just pick something kind of funky. Now, this one sounds really cool. There's a lot of really interesting stuff happening here. So we'll load that one in. So that's one way that you can load in a wavetable. And don't forget that we've also got a second oscillator here. So we could bring in a second wavetable if we wanted to as well. Now, if we wanted to cut out a couple of steps there and just make this whole process a lot faster, let's just go Shift and Synth again. So we've started a new synth. Rather than changing the oscillator type, we'll just go Shift and browse, bottom to top, find that sample. But now we'll press and hold down on the select knob and we'll change it to wave. It's the exact same thing, it's just a hell of a lot faster. Now you may have noticed that as soon as we loaded in a wavetable, it switched the effect parameter over here to custom 2 and 3. So if we just play the sound as is, all we're hearing is a single tone. Custom 2, however, is mapped to the position of the wavetable. And another way that we can access that is to press Shift and Wavetable above oscillator 1. So if we turn this, we'll see that this gold knob is moving up and down. So we're just going to use the top gold knob for this. Let's have a listen. Pretty cool stuff. Maybe we'll go down an octave for this sound. And that's sounding pretty dark and atmospheric already, so I'm just going to change the scale mode to minor. Great. Now, before we get into modulating those sort of things, just keep in mind that if we were to place down a few different notes, great. We can, of course, do some step parameter locking with this top gold knob. So maybe we just want to grab these and move them all to different positions. So yeah, that's really fun. I'm just going to clear that for now. So the bottom gold knob on custom 3 is actually mapped to change the depth of LFO2, which is mapped to modulate the position of this top gold knob. So that means that LFO2 is going to be twisting this gold knob for us, and this bottom knob is going to change the influence of that. So think of this bottom gold knob as the depth. Great. So an important thing to keep in mind about LFO2 is that LFO2 re-triggers every single time a note is entered. So if we press these all at the same time, they should be in sync with one another. But if we were to press one after the other, you'll notice that the LFO is triggered every single time a new note is entered. So they're all going to have their own ups and downs happening. So yeah, pretty fun stuff. Let's just turn this back down a little bit now. Maybe we'll move the position so it's kind of near the start of the sound. Great, something like that. Now don't forget that we can go into the LFO2 rate section down here, and we can make it faster or slower. Some really cool atmospheric noise happening right there. Obviously, it might be useful to map the rate of LFO2 over here under custom 1. So with that selected, hold learn and input and twist this bottom knob. That just gives us really quick access to being able to change the rate. It might be worth playing around with the shape of these LFOs. So right now it's on a triangle wave, which is just going up and down. Maybe you want to set it to a sine wave so that it's sort of got a bit more of a curve to it. We could go a square wave, which is just basically going to act almost as an on and off thing. So if we turn up the rate of LFO2 now, so that's really fun. I'm going to set it back to be a sine wave for now. Oh yeah, we do have saw wave. At this rate, it's going to sound very similar. But if we slow it down, it's almost acting like a bit of a melody. Yeah, really fun. I'm going to leave it on a sine wave for now. And it's important to remember that this little icon here shows that we can modulate LFO2 using LFO1. Now, I want to correct myself here because in the effects video, the way I demonstrated that was completely incorrect, and I'm very sorry about that. I hope that enough people see this. Basically, what I showed is, if we mapped frequency, for example, to LFO2, the way that we were changing the rate of LFO2 with LFO1 was to press the select knob and scroll across and select it. That's wrong. Basically, what that's doing is using LFO1 to control the influence between frequency and LFO2, which in its own right is very, very useful, but that's not really what we wanted to do. We want to map LFO2 to the rate of LFO1. So the way we need to do that is press LFO2 and then hit LFO1. And we can see that this is blinking slowly and it's being modulated by LFO1. So let's turn this up and have a listen. Now we can play around with the rate of LFO1. So yeah, that can be really, really fun to play around with. It's important to keep in mind, however, that we can't sync the rate of LFO2. So if we press that, it says soon. As I said in previous videos, that usually means that Synthstrom have plans in implementing that, but for now we can't. So we'll press sync on LFO2. And that's basically going to sync it to our clock. I mean, you could use that melody alone just as the basis for a complete song. Just going to hit Shift and Synth to make a new one. Browse to that same sample. Just make sure we load it in as a wave. We're back to where we started. So, if we were to make this 4 bars long, for example, and we didn't want to be using the LFOs for those, then we could just record our knob position up here manually. Just something to keep in mind. Remember, if at any time you want to delete automation, just need to press Shift, Delete, and then press that knob in. So yeah, lots of fun sound design stuff to happen there. Now, we also don't need to use the LFOs at all if we don't want to. So we could find wavetable position over here and press envelope 2, for example. Turn this up all the way. And maybe we want to make the sustain. Let's give it a slow attack. So I'm using the sustain knob here to find the tone that I want to start at. Great. But we can hear that we're getting the modulation at the start of the sound. So basically we just need to flip this in the opposite direction. So yeah, play around with those settings. Maybe you want to up the number of voices, something like 4, and G-tune them slightly. Right, let's add on a large reverb to this sound and a tiny bit of delay. Cool. We use the filter a little bit. We'll go down an octave. I mean, that's already a beautiful sound in and of itself. It's fit to be used in any song. I really like that. It's beautiful. So let's go ahead and look at loading in a second wavetable. I'm just going to press Shift and Synth to start a new synth. We'll browse for a wavetable. Maybe we'll go for something completely different this time. That's pretty cool. And we'll go Shift and Browse in the next one over sample 2, and we'll load in a second one. Maybe something like that. Let's go down a couple of octaves. So something has changed with these top gold knobs here. The gold knob on top still controls the position of oscillator 1. But the bottom gold knob, in this case, actually now controls the position of oscillator 2. Now, I quite like the single bass tone kind of thing that we're getting with oscillator 2, that low growl, but I just want to be able to shift this a little bit. So we need to set up our own custom mappings now. So what we'll do is go wavetable 2 over oscillator 2 here, and let's map it to LFO2. Not too deep. Something about there. And let's play around with the rate of LFO2. Awesome. Let's map wavetable 2 to LFO2 as well, but we'll increase the rate, the depth a lot more. Cool. Finally, maybe we want to set the frequency, and we'll send that to envelope 2. We'll use the sustain to control the level that we want that frequency to be at. Yeah, I want it to open up. Turn off the decay. I'll just make a longer release. I think I've done that the wrong way. Sorry, I'll just flip the mapping between frequency and LFO2 in the opposite direction. There we go. And we'll use the sustain to control the depth of our frequency. Up the release. Great. And now if we wanted to, we could map LFO2 to LFO1. Let's change the shape to square. Now I'll just up the number of voices. So yeah, that's like, absolutely crazy, but that's kind of what I'm trying to show off here. Things can just get crazy really fast with wavetables. So yeah, it's almost like in these different octaves we have two completely different sounds playing out. One's more of a growling hellscape, and the other's a pretty polysynth. One final thing that I just quickly want to demonstrate is that even though we're in subtractive synth mode and we're using wavetables, we can actually send the wavetables through the ring modulator as well. Let's turn this up a little bit. So now we can transpose these like we did in the last video. Just for further sound design options. So yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much the end of what I have to show you for wavetable synthesis. Now I know that the last several videos have pretty much covered all the synthesis options in the Deluge. And that means that we're pretty much coming to the end of this series. I've only got a couple more things to talk about. However, I have teased this already, but I will be launching a Deluge workflow guide that goes over, things like performance, how to make a song, and most importantly, and I think this is how I'll be kicking things off in that series, is sound design. So a lot of the demos I've shown in this and previous videos have mainly just been there to sort of demonstrate how each synth works and all the features available to us for it, and just have like a lot of fun designing crazy chaotic sounds, because I have a feeling that's what a lot of people will do the first time they use these synthesizers. However, you can get some truly beautiful sounds out of the Deluge synth engine, and I want to sort of do separate videos on how to design realistic and usable sounds with wavetables, with FM, with subtractive synths, and so on and so forth, just to help show that people can sort of conjure up sounds that mean something to them and fit the vibe of whatever song they're trying to go for. I see a lot of people online on Reddit and whatnot just constantly complaining about like the Deluge synth engine not being particularly good. And look, while it is limited, it doesn't mean it's not usable. There's definitely a really powerful synth in here, and you can use it to create some truly amazing stuff. Yes, it only has 2 oscillators, and it might not have the same routings between envelopes and LFOs that a synthesizer and a DAW might have, but it's definitely serviceable, and if you work it hard enough, you can create some really incredible sounds. Anyways, that's all I have time for today, guys. Hit the like if you like, and if you don't, tell me why. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.